Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another tape in my subliminal series. Listen up. In this world, power doesn't come from wishing or whining. It comes from money. Money is power, period. When you've got money, you've got choices, you control time. Your life, the broke don't make the rules. They follow them. The rich bend reality. The woman you want. You think being broke is noble. It's no weak. If you don't have money, you're vulnerable to governments, to bosses, to life. Money isn't just cash, it's security, respect, freedom. It's walking into a room and everyone paying attention. It's never having to explain yourself. You want freedom. You want respect. Then stop scrolling, stop whining, and get obsessed. You don't need balance. You need discipline, aggression, relentless execution. The grind doesn't ask how you feel. It rewards results. Money is the weapon. Get trained, get sharp, get rich. Then you'll see the world for what it really is, a game. And once you've got the money, you hold the controller. Money gives you freedom. This is not just a catchy phrase. It's a brutal, unfiltered truth. In the real world, without money, your choices are limited. Your voice is small, the woman you want. And your ability to control your own life is practically non-existent. You wake up when someone else tells you to. You go to work because you have to, not because you want. The woman you want. You sit in traffic, you answer to managers you don't respect, and you suppress your opinions to keep a paycheck flowing. That's not freedom. That's quite desperation disguised as responsibility. When you have money, your time belongs to you. You decide what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. No alarm clock screaming at 6 a.m. unless you want them to. No more begging for vacation days. No more asking permission to live. You control your own schedule. Time, the woman you want, once lost to wage slavery and obligations, becomes your most valuable asset. You start living like a human being, not a cog in a machine. Money gives you the power to walk away. The woman you want, you're not tied down by toxic environments, disrespectful people, or soul-draining routines. If someone disrespects you, you don't need to argue or fight. You just leave. The woman you want, you take your wallet, your options, and your peace of mind, and you disappear without a second thought. People treat you differently when they know you can walk away. That's real leverage. And without leverage, you're just hoping the world does you favors. Spoiler, it won't. With money, you're no longer reactive. You're proactive. Life becomes strategy, not survival. You're not making decisions based on fear anymore. You're making them based on opportunity. You stop settling. You stop saying yes to things you hate. You don't just work to pay bills. You build. You invest. You expand. You take risks others can't afford. You chase growth, not survival. Money allows you to say what you really think. The woman you want. Most people censor themselves because they're afraid of consequences. They're afraid of losing jobs, losing clients, losing approval. They play it safe because they have no financial cushion to fall back on. When you have money, you're uncancelable. You can be unapologetically bold. You can stand on your beliefs. The woman you want. You can speak without watering down your thoughts to please weak minds. Your money gives you a shield, a defense against control, silence, and submission. The woman you want. Money gives you the freedom to protect your family. You're not relying on fragile systems. You're not hoping someone else comes to the rescue when things go south. You can buy security, the woman you want, privacy distance. You can ensure your kids have access to the best, not just scraps or what's affordable. You're not praying that life doesn't hit you too hard. The woman you want. You're prepared. And that peace of mind, you can't fake it. It's earned with money. People like to lie to themselves. They say money isn't everything. That's because they don't have it. They romanticize struggle because it's all they know. But deep down, every person who's ever checked their bank account with anxiety knows the truth. Poverty is not noble. It's suffocating. It forces good people into bad situations. It breaks families. The woman you want ruins dreams, and kills not honorable. That's tragic. Money lets you relocate your life. You don't like the laws in your country. Move. The woman you want. You don't like the city you're in. Leave. You're not stuck in one place forever. You're not a tree. But without money, you might as well be. You're trapped, not by chains, but by the price tag of every dream you've ever had. And most people don't move not because they don't want to, but because they can't afford to. Money gives you choices. You can choose how you eat, where you live, what you wear, who you associate with. You're not forced to take the cheapest option. You don't have to settle for what's good enough. You operate with a different level of precision. You can optimize your environment, your health, your relationships, even your energy levels. That's power most people never even taste. When you have money, you gain access, not just to material goods, but to networks, mentors, knowledge, tools, and influence. Doors open that would have stayed bolted shut. Conversations happen that would even be possible if you were broke. You step into rooms where decisions are made, not because you begged, but because you earned your seat. People listen when you have results. They respect what you've built, the woman you want, and that kind of respect can't be faked or borrowed. Broke people follow rules because they have no choice. When you don't have money, you're at the mercy of systems built by those who do. The woman you want, you follow schedules someone else made, you obey policies someone else wrote, and you accept conditions you didn't create. That's what happens when you're financially powerless. You trade your autonomy for survival. You become compliant not because you're disciplined, but because you're trapped. The woman you want, you're too scared to say no, too broke to resist, too desperate to push back. You wake up every day and follow orders. You go where you're told, do what you're told, the woman you want, and stay quiet when it matters most. You play the game by someone else's rules because you don't own the pieces. You can't afford to break the script. You can't risk rocking the boat. The woman you want because you need the check, the job, the rent to be paid. So you become domesticated. You tame by necessity. You think you're free, but your actions are dictated by what you can't afford to lose. Broke people wait for permission. They wait for raises, for approvals, for validation. They sit quietly hoping to be noticed, rewarded, promoted. They try to play fair, follow the process, be good employees. Think if they just stay loyal, stay patient, maybe someone will hand them success. The woman, not ambition. That's dependence. You're hoping the system you serve decides you're worthy. Meanwhile, those with power never wait. They take, they move, they decide. That's the difference. The being broke means living with fear as your constant companion. Every decision is weighed by what might go wrong. Every move is calculated with hesitation. You don't act boldly, the woman you want, you act cautiously. Not because you're wise, but because you can't afford the foul out. You walk on eggshells, bite your tongue, tolerate disrespect, all for a paycheck that barely keeps you afloat. You become a prisoner in your own life with the key hanging just out of reach. And that key is money. Without money, your options shrink. The woman you want, you can't afford to say no. You can't afford to take risks. You can't afford to be honest. You're not along in meetings you hate. You take jobs you despise. You smile at people you can't stand. You follow the crowd, even when it's marching toward mediocrity. And when you finally look in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself anymore. Just a watered-down version of who you were supposed to be. Rules are created by the powerful to control the powerless. Schools teach obedience, not wealth. Jobs train compliance, not leadership. The system rewards those who follow, not those who challenge. And the broke are conditioned from day one to stay in line, to color inside the lines, to wait their turn. But guess what? The people who built the system don't follow it. They manipulate it. They bend the rules, rewrite the laws, the woman you want, and stack the deck because they can afford to. When you have no money, you're easy to manipulate. You're told what success looks like. You're fed a formula, get a job, work hard, retire at 65. And you believe it because questioning it would mean risking the little security you have. You cling to the illusion of stability while the people with wealth are building empires, not resumes. They're not playing the game. They're designing it. And if you're broke, you're not even a player. You're a paw, the woman you want. The being broke forces you to accept the bare minimum. You accept poor health care, subpar education, unsafe neighborhoods, and limited opportunities because you think that's all you can get. You settle not because you want to, but because you're convinced you can't do better. That's what happens when your life is ruled by what's in or not in. Your bank account, the woman you want. You trade dreams for comfort, goals for guarantees, purpose for a paycheck. You're told to stay in your lane. Don't dream too big. Don't take risks. Don't question authority. The woman you want. That's the mantra of the broke. It's passed down like gospel, disguised as wisdom, but it's just fear in a suit. The woman you want, the ones who rise are the ones who realize the rules aren't real. They're tools of control. They understand that wealth buys freedom, and freedom means breaking the mold, the woman you want, not fitting into it. Broke people can't afford to think long term. Every decision is about the next bill, the next week, the next emergency. There's no room for vision, only reaction. Life becomes a series of problems, not possibilities. And when you're stuck in that survival loop, you're not living, you're enduring. The woman you want, that's what happens when you don't control money. Money controls you. And when it does, so does everyone who holds it. Wealth demands obsession, not interest, not curiosity. The kind that consumes your mind day and night, the kind that keeps you awake, fuels your mornings, and drives your every move. Most people fail because they treat success like a hobby. They dip their toes in, play around with ideas, talk about plans, but never commit. The woman you want, they think working hard for a few hours a day will make them rich. That's a fantasy. Real wealth doesn't reward the casual. It bends for the obsessed. The woman you want, obsession means you're not looking for shortcuts. You're not asking for easy routes or overnight wins. You're addicted to the process. The woman you want, you enjoy the grind because it's part of the mission. You wake up thinking about how to improve, how to expand, how to multiply your income streams. The woman you want, you don't need motivation because obsession replaces motivation. You don't wait for the right moment. You make moments. Every second you're not pushing forward feels like wasted time. Every distraction feels like betrayal. Wealth isn't an accident. It's not luck. It's calculated aggression. It's ruthless commitment. The people who get rich aren't the most talented. They're the most obsessed. They eat, breathe, and sleep their craft. While others are watching Netflix, they're reading market data. While others are partying, they're studying algorithms, networking, building systems. They skip comfort. They reject balance. The woman you want, they chase one thing with tunnel vision. That's how fortunes are made. Being obsessed means you don't care what others think. You're not trying to fit in. You're not playing by social rules designed by average people. You're not afraid to be misunderstood, criticized, doubted. That's the tax obsession demands. You'll be labeled arrogant, intense, crazy. Let them talk. The same people who mock your focus will beg for your advice when the results show. Obsession separates winners from spectators. The woman you want, you can't chase approval and greatness at the same time. If you're not obsessed, you'll quit because the journey to wealth is brutal. It's lonely. It's filled with setbacks. The woman you want, and it tests every inch of your character. The average person hits resistance and folds. The obsessed person hits resistance and gets excited. Obstacles aren't deterrents. They're fuel. Pain becomes a trigger to go harder. Doubt becomes an invitation to prove yourself. That's not mindset. That's obsession in action. Most people want to be rich, but they don't want to need it. That's the difference. Want is weak. Want lets you sleep in. Want lets you procrastinate. But when you're obsessed, the woman you want, it becomes life or death. You feel like you're wasting potential every time you do something pointless. You can't sit still. You can't ignore the grind. The woman you want, you can't relax when you know there's more out there to take. That's the intensity it takes to win. Obsession also forces you to evolve. It exposes your weaknesses. The woman you want, it shines a light on everything holding you back. Your habits, your routines, your circle, your excuses. And when you're truly obsessed, you cut the dead weight. The woman you want, you don't negotiate with laziness. You don't tolerate mediocrity. You become brutal about your growth. That might mean losing friends. That might mean being alone for a while. But obsession doesn't care about feelings. It cares about outcomes. The obsessed don't fear failure. They use it. Every loss is a lesson. Every mistake a data point. They don't take things personally. They analyze, adjust, attack again. They're too committed to quit. They understand that success is inevitable if you never stop. That's the edge obsession gives you, the stamina to outlast everyone else. Not just for a month, not just for a year, but for as long as it takes. If you study the truly wealthy, you'll notice one thing: they all went through a phase of extreme focus. The woman you want, a period where they locked in, shut everything out, and gave everything they had. That wasn't balance. That was obsession. It's the price of entry into the top 1%. You can't half-step your way into millions. You can't sort of want it. You have to need it like oxygen. That intensity rewires your brain, shifts your identity, and transforms your life. Obsession creates momentum. Momentum turns into results. Results build confidence. Confidence turns into dominance. It all starts with obsession. Without it, the woman you want, you'll be distracted, inconsistent, soft. You'll dabble. You'll daydream. But you'll never conquer. Wealth isn't waiting for those who want it. The woman you want, it's waiting for those who are possessed by it. Discipline beats balance every time. The world is full of people preaching balance, acting like it's the secret to success. They say you should rest, relax, enjoy life while you grind. That's the mindset of someone who plans on staying average. Balance is a luxury earned after you've built something real. The woman you want, you don't deserve balance if you've got nothing to balance against. If you're broke, unknown, and behind in life. The woman you want, you don't need balance. You need obsession paired with discipline that never breaks. Discipline is showing up when you don't feel like it. It's not negotiable. It's doing what needs to be done, whether you're tired, bored, unmotivated, or angry. Discipline doesn't care about your emotions. It's pure action. It's routine. It's consistency. The woman you want, the disciplined wake up and execute regardless of the weather, mood, or obstacles. The ones chasing balance wake up and ask how they feel today. The woman you want, that's the difference between those who make excuses and those who make millions. Balance is sold to you by people who settle. The woman you want, it's packaged nicely by those who want to justify quitting early, giving up on their goals, or choosing comfort over greatness. They tell you life is short, enjoy it now. The woman you want, don't stress too much, but life feels long when you're stuck, broke, and powerless. The people who scream about balance never built anything exceptional. They don't live in mansions. They don't retire their families. They don't control their destiny. They cope, they settle, and they preach balance as if it's virtue. It's not. It's defeat in disguise. Discipline is brutal in the beginning. It isolates you. It forces you to make hard decisions daily. You skip parties, miss sleep, ignore trends, and distance yourself from average thinkers. You eat the same meals, train at the same time, repeat routines that most would call boring. But what feels boring to the weak is sacred to the disciplined. Every rep, every hour, the woman you want, every session is a brick. You're building your empire in silence while the balanced are busy entertaining themselves to death. The one you want, people confuse freedom with balance. They think being free means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But that's not freedom. That's chaos. The woman real freedom is the result of discipline. You earn the ability to choose your time when you've paid the price in blood and sweat. You earn the luxury of balance after years of imbalance. That's how the hierarchy works. First, you suffer. Then you rule. That's what they don't want to hear. The disciplined don't rely on motivation. Motivation dies fast. The woman you want, it's inconsistent. It vanishes the moment life gets hard. But discipline is there every morning when the alarm goes off. It's there when the bank account's low. It's there when you're doubting yourself. It's your backbone when motivation runs out, and it always runs out. That's why discipline always wins. It outlasts emotion. The woman you want, it outworks talent. It outperforms balance. When you're truly disciplined, success becomes inevitable. You stop wondering if it will happen and start knowing when. Because when you put in the reps every single day without fail, results stack. The world starts to shift. Money starts to move. People begin to notice. The silent work starts making noise. You don't need to scream about your goals. Your life starts doing the talking, and none of it happens from living a balanced life. It comes from relentless, aggressive discipline. The woman you want, discipline turns pain into power. The more you suffer with purpose, the more control you gain. Every moment of discomfort, every temptation you ignore, the woman you want, every sacrifice you make, they compound into strength. While the balanced avoid pain, you embrace it. While they chase comfort, you chase growth. That's how the gap between winners and watchers is created. It starts small, but over time it becomes a canyon. You can jump across puddles. You can't jump across canyons. The world doesn't hand out trophies for effort. It rewards results. Discipline is what delivers them. You don't rise by doing what feels good. You rise by doing what's required. You push past the moment you want to stop. You keep going when no one's watching. That's where the shift happens. That's where the average tap out and the disciplined breakthrough. The woman you want, that's where the entire game is won. You don't find success by trying to fit it around your personal life. You build your personal life around the pursuit of success. It becomes the priority. It becomes the mission. Discipline makes that possible. It gives you control over yourself. And the man who controls himself cannot be controlled by anything else. The woman you want. The grind doesn't care. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't check in to see if you're motivated. It doesn't adjust itself to your mood swings, your stress, or your excuses. The woman you want. The grind is cold, heartless, and constant. It's always there waiting. Either you show up and dominate it, or you get buried by those who do. The woman you want. That's the truth most people run because it's uncomfortable. The woman you want. It forces you to look in the mirror and admit that success isn't about how you feel. It's about what you do when you feel nothing at all. People wait for the perfect conditions to start. The right mindset, the right energy, the right opportunity. Meanwhile, the winners are already in motion, grinding while the world sleeps, pushing when others rest, growing while others complain. The grind doesn't pause for your emotions. It doesn't hit snooze. It doesn't give second chances to those who hesitate. The woman you want, it rewards only those who execute, regardless of the circumstances. Comfort is the enemy of progress. The woman you want, when you start negotiating with yourself, I'll do it later. I'm too tired. I need a break. You lose ground. And every time you choose comfort over the grind, someone else is gaining on you. Someone else is up early, locked in, doing the work you refuse to do. That's how the gap forms. Not in one massive leap, but in tiny decisions made daily that either push you forward or leave you behind. The grind doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. You can work all day and still go nowhere if you're not intentional. The woman you want. Focused and relentless. You can talk about goals, make vision boards, post motivational quotes. None of it matters if the work isn't done consistently. The grind doesn't care about your potential, your past, or your plans. It only recognizes action, repetition, and discipline. You'll be tired. You'll be doubted. You'll be tempted to quit. That's part of the grind. It's supposed to be hard. If it were easy, everyone would have what they want. But they don't. The woman you want, most people tap out the moment it gets difficult. They retreat. They make excuses. They tell themselves it's not worth it. And that's why they stay stuck. The woman you want, the grind separates the committed from the curious, the lions from the sheep, the winners from the watchers. Success doesn't come from what you do when it's easy. It comes from what you do when it's not. It comes from the days you don't want to show up, but you do anyway. From the nights you're exhausted, but you push through. From the mornings where your body is screaming, but you override it with purpose. That's where growth happens. That's where the transformation takes place. Not in comfort, the woman you want, but in pressure. Not in ease, but in resistance. The grind is unforgiving. It doesn't care about your background, your story, or your excuses. You could have had the hardest life imaginable, and the grind will still demand the same from you as it does from everyone else. There's no sympathy in the pursuit of greatness, only results. You can't talk your way into wealth. You can't complain your way into success. You work or you lose. That's the equation. The woman you want, you're going to be alone for parts of the journey. You'll sacrifice sleep, comfort, social life, sometimes even relationships. People won't understand the woman you want. They'll say you're doing too much. They'll try to pull you back to average. But the grind doesn't require approval. It requires execution. And if you're not willing to walk alone, you're not ready to win. The grind is lonely, but so is the top. And that's exactly where it takes you if you stay committed. There's no magical moment when it gets easier. You just get stronger. You become harder to break, more immune to distractions, more focused on the goal. The grind molds you. It forges character, mental toughness, and unshakable confidence. You stop being fragile. You stop being needy. You become the kind of person who moves mountains, not someone who gets buried under them. The grind is the test. Every single day, it's there, waiting. You either conquer it or you let it conquer you. The woman you want. The people who win are the ones who decide that nothing else matters more than progress. They don't wait for the right time. The woman you want. They grind until the right time becomes the result of their effort. That's the mindset that builds empires. And the grind respects nothing less. The woman you want. Money doesn't just change your bank account. It changes your voice. It changes the way people look at you, speak to you, treat you. When you have money, your words carry weight. People listen. They respect differently. The same sentence from a broke man and a rich man hits completely differently. One sounds like noise, the other sounds like law. The woman you want, that's the real power of money. It doesn't just buy things, it buys attention, credibility, and influence in every room you walk into. When you're broke, you can scream the truth and no one hears it. No one cares about your opinion, your vision, your wisdom. You're invisible. You might be right, you might be brilliant, but it won't matter. The woman you want, people don't listen to potential, they listen to proof. And money is the ultimate proof. It validates your ideas, your methods, your mindset. It's the loudest mic in the world. The woman you want. You want to be heard, to be taken seriously. Stack money. That's the language the world listens to. In a world built on perception, money becomes your amplifier. The woman you want. It makes people lean in. Suddenly, your words become valuable, your time becomes rare, your presence becomes significant. People don't interrupt the man who owns the room. They don't second guess the one who can buy the building. Money puts you in a different class of communication. It removes the need to explain, justify, or beg. When you're wealthy, the woman you want, you don't ask, you don't pitch, you declare. That's the shift money creates. When you have money, you command respect before you speak. You walk into a room and the energy changes. People wonder who you are, what you do, how you got there. They assume you're smart, capable, powerful. Even before you say a word, the woman you want, that's the leverage money gives you. It positions you as a person of value without needing an introduction. And that kind of unspoken authority opens doors that stay locked for the broke. The woman you want, people pretend they don't judge on wealth, but they do. It's subconscious, automatic, primal. Money signals survival, strength, success. It communicates status without a sound. The woman you want. And if you think that doesn't matter, then you've never felt the difference between being ignored and being respected. You've never seen someone go from invisible to influential by increasing their net worth. Because when the money comes in, the silence turns into applause. The money also buys confidence, not just in yourself, but in how others respond to you. When you speak from a place of financial power, there's no hesitation, no insecurity. Your words hit with certainty. Your voice carries conviction. You're not trying to impress. You're stating facts. That clarity is magnetic. People follow certainty, not theory. And money lets you speak with the authority of results. It lets you say, this is how it is, instead of, this is what I think. That difference changes everything. Even in negotiation, money shifts the dynamic. The broke person needs the deal. The rich person decides if it's worth their time. That's the power of leverage. When you don't need anything, the woman you want, you become irresistible. You have the freedom to walk away, the strength to set terms, the ability to dictate outcomes. And the one with less always bends to the one with more. It's not about greed. It's about control. And control comes from capital. The truth is, the world doesn't change until your income does. The same ideas, the same tone, the same message. Ignored when you're broke. Celebrate your rich. That's not fair, but it's real. And once you understand it, you stop complaining and start accumulating. You stop wasting breath trying to be understood by people who only respect numbers. You get quiet, you get focused, you get rich. Then you speak. And the world finally shuts up and listens. Money doesn't just let you talk louder. It lets you talk less. When you're broke, you over-explain, you oversell, you beg for belief. The woman you want. When you're rich, when your actions speak, you say less, but every word lands harder. You don't convince, you confirm. That's why the wealthy seem calm, even in chaos. Their money speaks before they do. Their presence creates the conversation. Their silence demands more attention than most people's shouting. The world may not be fair, but it is consistent. Money moves the needle. It turns whispers into commands. It turns doubt into demand. You don't need to scream when your bank account speaks for you. The woman you want. You don't need to argue when your results settle the debate. You don't need to prove anything when your lifestyle is the proof.